Like the video, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for latest video updates.
Hi, welcome back to Examining Life, a life that's worth living. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I get into today's episode, please remember to click the subscribe button. So over the summer, I conducted interviews at Walden Pond at the site of Henry David Thoreau's hut. Please be sure to check out those episodes, which were on spiritual guidance and examining the role of nature in modern society. The links are in the description below. In today's episode, I will be discussing Henry David Thoreau's civil disobedience. In summary, Thoreau's main theme in civil disobedience was to play an active role as a citizen, to keep the government in check, to ensure that the government doesn't take away liberties of the individual. And this was true back then, and obviously it's still true now. As citizens, we need to make sure our voices are heard so that the government can represent us accordingly. Although there are so many factors that tie into what happens at the federal level, I think it's still very important for citizens to take an active role and not just passively accept what has happened or is happening in the government. If the government does something that we agree with, we feel great that our voices were heard and are represented by those with political roles. However, if the government does something that the people do not agree with, we as citizens, according to Thoreau, need to take an even more active role in civil society to bring about the wills of the people. In Civil Disobedience, Thoreau greatly opposed slavery and did not believe in paying into a government that he disagreed with and didn't feel represented by, primarily because the government had supported slavery and was engaging in a war that he disagreed with, which was the Mexican-American War. In protest, Thoreau did not pay his taxes and was then arrested for not paying his taxes. I toyed with a thought experiment that he proposed, which I thought was very interesting, which is what I'm going to also analyze later on in this video. If 1,000 men were not to pay their tax bills this year, that would not be a violent and bloody measure, as it would be to pay them and enable the state to commit violence and shed innocent blood. Although this is unlikely, I wanted to consider what it would be like if this thought experiment did play out in a protest. What would be the pros and cons of partaking in a mass protest by not paying your taxes? Pros. In order to prevent chaos, the government would have to change itself pretty quickly, because if the government didn't change itself, then the people would continue to not pay taxes. But if the government did want to have the people pay their taxes, then they would have to change their behavior to do what the people wanted. And what Thoreau wanted in this case was for the government to free slaves and also end the Mexican-American War. Another pro would therefore then be the end of use of citizens' tax money as a means towards violent measures, since the said violent measures would then be ended by the government. And then that brings us to the next pro, which would be the end of the use of tax dollars used towards violent measures, because such violent measures go against what the people want. Cons for not paying taxes. The citizens would then lose government services while they're not paying their taxes. This could lead to a government shutdown, as we recently experienced. Although that shutdown was not due to people not paying their taxes, but I can envision a world in which if people didn't pay their taxes, the government would shut down. And this would be very detrimental to society, including the areas of education, sanitation, and for some, even shelter. On the other hand, what are the pros and cons to society and the government when we do pay our taxes? The pros for paying our taxes include the government would be able to remain functional, and the citizens would be following the law, therefore preventing any potential of an unnecessary arrest. The cons to paying taxes include the government continuing to use said tax dollars towards violent acts that the people disagree with, and also some citizens would be paying into a government that negatively affects them or the greater society at large. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below what you think of a mass-scale refusal to pay taxes to protest the government in a peaceful manner. Would you participate in the protest? Why or why not? And let me know what you think are the pros and cons of potentially not paying your taxes because you disagree with what the government is doing. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Bye.